that's such a good question. A hard question, too. I think that one of the benefits that resonates most is my students like me. They like taking my classes. I think sometimes the empathetic policies that I espouse and implement in my classrooms feel like they work against rigor to people who teach in a certain way. And so I think sometimes that can be hard. Why do you always give extra time? You're not being rigorous enough. I think your exams are too easy. Maybe the reason your students like you so much is because they get good grades, because you give them extra time on exams, right? And so sometimes that can be challenging. And I'm not saying everybody needs to teach the way that I teach. I think that we all have different philosophies of teaching, and what I ask of my colleagues is that their philosophies are in line with their practices and policies. So if you have a philosophy, or if part of whatever you're doing involve, I mean, I don't want a surgeon to take 10 hours on something that a different surgeon would only need an hour to do, right? So sometimes time matters. I think that it's important to think about what is this. Why do I have a time limit on an exam? Why does it have to be done in the certain amount of class time? And if there's a good reason for you doing that, then do it. For me, it's not, I can't find a reason that feels like it's in line with my policies, and so I give them extra time. So I think sometimes that debate about rigor, that's the most challenging part, is that sometimes colleagues will say, and I have wonderful colleagues. I don't think that all of my colleagues, especially in the math department, are incredibly supportive. But I think sometimes that narrative that empathy and rigor work against each other, I think it's a false narrative. It's not a binary. And it's not it's not a continuum. As you move closer to being empathetic, you're not moving away from being rigorous. You can sometimes, but I don't think you have to be. I think they can work in concert with each other. And so that is something that I feel like when I'm talking to colleagues, that's a discussion that I feel like comes up a lot, is being more empathetic, making your class easier, less rigorous. And also that's a narrative that I carry in myself too, from my own teacher training and my own experience as a K-12 teacher. And so I think about that a lot. I think I argue with myself about it a lot, and that prepares me to debate with my colleagues about it. Empathy pays off when it comes to rigor because I have flexible due dates for just about universally. If a student needs extra time on a problem set or a reading response, I almost always give them that extra time. I would rather have them take a couple extra days and do an assignment well than rush to get it done and hand it in on time. And so I think that's another thing that pays into rigor, where I'm empathetic, I'm going to give you extra time, and you're going to do a better job on the assignment than if I wasn't empathetic and you had to hand it in by midnight on Sunday night. I mean, little things make a big difference when they compound, right? A little thing that you do every day for 10 weeks becomes a not so little thing sometimes. It's about, this is not very academic, but it's about a vibe. Like, I have a very distinct vibe to me that I embody when I'm teaching, when I'm working with students. And that vibe is very consistent with my philosophy of teaching, who I am as a teacher, who I want them to be as teachers, and also who I am as like a human being, who I want to be as a person. And I don't think I can separate all those things. And so I try to be very intentional in my teaching and in the things I say, how I say things and what I do with students. Yeah.